I think that's kind of one of the sort of sweet spots that the Lego movies and other movies have found too in children's programming, is that if someone has to bring the children to the movie theater, so you can't bore the parents to tears as well. So there's a lot of jokes that just get slipped in, references to things that will go right over a an 8-year-old's head, but will land and be very funny to an adult. And I think they do that with great success. They are constantly sort of wedging these smaller jokes in between the cracks, that can keep the parents entertained as well. I didn't know anything about the franchise, and then I was actually at a friend's house, and they had a child, and we were just talking, and the mother just immediately brightened up. She was like, "You're going to do the Ninjago movie? Oh no, you're going to be," and the hero to my son who loves these things. And then she's like, "He can tell you all about them." So then I went up into his room, and he told me all, like, just spilled the whole world out. He had books, he had characters and everything. But it was like a subculture. It was like a great old indie band you hadn't heard about, but that only 6-year-olds know about. He basically just sort of walked me through it. Then I, of course, talked to Charlie Bean, and he sort of filled me in and showed me all the visuals and the kind of world that they were going to be in and interacting in, and what they were going to kind of try and do differently from some of the previous Lego movies. Yeah, and it's a bad guy, so I loved sort of playing that guy. Anytime you get to play a big, broad villain, I think it's a lot of fun. Lord Garmadon is, he's a bad guy, and he's sort of the penultimate narcissistic bad guy who is just always trying to sort of rule over and enslave Ninjago, and sort of basically it's the classic bad guy trope of he just wants to own whatever city he's attacking and be dictator of it. And on a personal note, he's highly narcissistic, sees the world sort of through everyone else's eyes, how they see him. He's kind of that guy who would be, enough about me, but what do you think of me? He's just, and he's also sort of, I think, emotionally stunted. He's probably about 16 in his head. And he also has a very tortured relationship with his son. He blames his son for him leaving him, meaning he blames his son for being the reason he had to abandon his son. I always thought it was sort of a funny dynamic. The beauty of it is you can kind of just riff. It's that thing where you can just constantly be, it's sort of disposable. You're there for hours and hours and hours just sort of doing lines, so you can try out different stuff, and nothing's too precious early on. Once they start to animate it later on, you have to start locking in, more specific things. But I think the beauty of at least voicing a character in an animated movie is, you can play forever, and everything's possible. Obviously, Lloyd's on his own journey to sort of, find himself, have the courage to sort of face his father, which is one element. But, like all good teams, he has to operate within a group. So the ninjas, there's several points in the film, where things can feel disparate, or when Garmadon's got the upper hand. But they find, under the tutelage of, Master Wu, that, the more they work together, the more successful they'll be as a group. And Garmadon does not learn that lesson. He suffers from, I can do it all myself, and why isn't anyone helping me? I remember when I first heard that the Legos were going to be made into a movie, and I remember thinking, they're bricks, so how are they going to sort of animate them in a way that makes them look, sort of, we're so used to sort of in other animated movies, things sort of being so seamless and sort of computer generated. And I really love the way they just sort of embrace the fact that they move like this, and sort of walk like that. So I think that's kind of what was the appeal of that movie. I mean, aside from brilliant writing, directing, and all the rest of it, but I was blown away by the way, the hyper real. I like that they embraced the hyper realism of the Lego bricks.